Good morning, everyone. My today's presentation on the paper of the postcolonial studies is on the subaltern theory, the subaltern brown women, and the failure of Bollywood cinema in describing the women. This is my introduction. And in today's presentation, we are going to deal with the term post-colonial feminism. We will discuss the Simone de Beauvoir's theory in the second sex, which is talking about the situation and the character of a women in society. And Gayatri Spivak's theory on the subaltern. Can a subaltern speak? Then my main topic about failure of Bollywood cinema and conclusion. Beginning with post-colonial feminist criticism, it is a response to the feminism which was focusing only on the women which were in Western culture and were of former colonies. It is the third, this post-colonial feminist criticism is the third wave of feminism. In the first wave of feminism, the it was criticizing or looking or focusing on the women who had the resources of education. The second wave criticism was looking at the women which were trying to have equality with men or males in with male society in pay in which they get through their work. And in the third, then later they realized that this criticism is only talking about the women which are in Western culture and who are already having access to the resources. And then the third wave of feminism came, which criticized on the account of race, gender, class, and the long-lasting political, economic, and cultural effect of colonialism. That which looked on the brown women. We will look at the women's condition. Simone de Beauvoir in the second sex, which was published in 1949, in the fifth chapter, she has talked about the women's situation and character. She is telling that the conditions created and practiced by men in the society are responsible for the faults and the problem of women. The product that women is product which is the product of her own situation. It is not natural or not a result of her or hormones or a result of a predetermined structure of her brain. And what is situation according to Beauvoir is economic, social, and historical conditions created by men, and the character is women's behavior and their faults. The women are not given the technical training like men are given. Women are not living in a practical world. They are more molded or trained to be emotional. They are not given the exposure and the experience which men are getting in the society. And a lack of all exposure and experiences is forcing women to be in household activities, and mostly they stay in kitchen. The kitchen is making them patient and passive. As we are working in a kitchen, we see cooking happens in a slow pace. Everything takes a long time. The things or activities which are related to kitchen. And so the women are growing to be passive and patient. And all the ignorance and ineffectiveness as forcing the women to worship masculine heroes and respect the masculine laws. We can also say that there is a huge world of feminine experience that is beyond the reach of men. Women is capable to fight against or compete with men, but they are not given the opportunities or spaces. The women can fight against men, but the world of women is such a huge and a huge of experiences that men cannot take the place of women so easily. And we can say in the regular world, if we think if our mother will not be in the house for a day, our father cannot replace her work. But if our father won't be there, the mother can go outside, she can earn, she can also handle the house, and she can take care of us. Man believes in ethical values, but that is only an abstract at universal level. Man is having their own ethical world, ethical rules. For an example, a man is finding a woman who is virgin for marriage. He wishes that his wife or a friend or a sister stays in a type of a cage or in an ideal womanistic way. The way of life must be ideal, not having any of extramarital affair or any other relation before the marriage. But contrary to that, men are always finding other women for relationship. They want their wife to be ideal, but want neighbor's wife to have an affair with him. So the basic idea of Simone de Beauvoir is situations created by man determines women character, and that man's self-interest, duplicity and dominating tendencies are responsible for her faults and follies. And the most famous quote from the second sex is, one is not born but rather becomes a woman. They are idealized since childhood, and they are women are asked to dream that the best life or the successful life is having being a mother and being an ideal wife. The Ranjit Guha was one to initiate the Subaltern Studies project in 1982, and according to him, devoid of unconsciousness and hence without an ability to make their own histories are called subaltern. uh, this Gayatri Spivak was one of the third world countries' women. She understood the situation of the women of a colonized countries and wrote about the women in his work article Can a Subaltern Speak. He took this word subaltern from the Italian Marxist Antonio Gramsci, which was generally used for the people having a lower rank in the society or in the military. This project was to record the voice of subaltern because the history was only celebrating the actions of elite class. For example, in the freedom fight of India's independence, Jawaharlal Nehru, Gandhi, Bhagat, everyone who were further in the freedom fight are recorded, but the tribals or the lower class people who got martyred in this freedom fight are not recorded anywhere. And this project decided to be a voice of this subaltern. Spivak is having three feminist stances. They are the demonstration of the failure of the Indian nationalist movement of free lower class subaltern women, criticism of Western feminism for neglecting class, religion, language, and nationality difference, and totalizing attempt at creating a universal feminist theory. And the third is her awareness of being a third world woman, which she could write and elaborate the situation of the women. We know the ideology of the society is patriarchy, in that subaltern is women, dominating class is men, and the discourse is of gender. In patriarchal society, women are assigned particular roles as a wife, mother, daughter, sister, which are completely dependent on a man. You can't be a mother without a father. You can't be a wife without a husband or a daughter without a. You can't have a comparison. There are necessary for the binaries. Women for the role binaries are needed, and they are trained for since childhood. So this inequality in the society is naturalized in the women, and they feel it's natural and don't speak up for their rights and their opportunities. For the colonized women, they are colonized in the two level by the colonialism and by the patriarchy of the society, and they can't speak for them. It is impossible for them to break these two locks coming on their path. So the intellectual have argued that for the people who are not able to speak, it's impossible for them to speak. The one who are having an authority, like the Britishers or the elite class, has an authority, have to speak for the oppressed class. In Can a Subaltern Speak, she dealt with an issue of sati and demonstrated that both Hindu culture practices serve to repress the voice of agency of women. Describing about the sati, as there is a quote, white men are saving brown women from the brown men. And with an example of sati, she has elaborated that In a sati practice, it was because of Hindu culture, and we know that the white Britisher, I forgot the name, but a white person was the one to abandon or ban the sati pratha, and that is where the quote came: white men needed to safeguard the brown women. Looking at our cinema, we saw the two quote that can a subaltern speak? Can a brown woman speak for herself? And white men were needed for saving the brown women from the men. And we know that Bollywood cinema is a source of entertainment, but it has served as the reflection of society. It outside India or the other region where other regions and the region of Bollywood, it is seen as a reflection of its culture and tradition. Then how women were represented in it. In 1940s to 60s, the Bollywood cinemas were dealing with the social issues of the working class, nationalist and patriot sentiments. By 1970s, social agenda changed into action and romance. And then the new genre came was about the NRI films, which are interracial films. The couple are interracials, or the families are interracials, or the Indian is living in a foreign country, or the foreigner is living in Indian country. Such types of films were introduced. Then a Pratima Mistry, in his article Changing Role of Women in Hindi Cinema, has given presence of woe. Hindi cinema presents a woeful picture of discrimination and marginalized women. And another quote was given by Ramini Ram Kisun. Before NRI films, role of women were as mother, wife, vamp, and courtesan, that is a prostitute. This is how the women were depicted. NRI films, how they worked, they helped women to get out of the subaltern role, that is of wife, mother, vamp. Spivak, as we quoted before also, the white men were used through NRI films to safeguard the brown women. As we discussed, the Bollywood is a synecdoche of history and culture, and also influential in the society for the interpretation of others. In the article Bollywood in the Indian American diaspora, it is said it is a kind of cinema that has since the mid 1990s brought the NRI decisively into the center of the picture for a more stable picture of Indian identity than anything that can be found indigenously. It is the medium to examine in Bollywood is a medium to examine Indian culture, nationalism, modernity, and identity. Till now, the women were having a historical life, or they were as a subject which were dominated by the men before the NRI film comes in the Bollywood. The, the women had a role of ideal mother, ideal wife, vamp, and courtesan. The ideal mother, who were called ideal mother, subjugated and disempowered role were ideal mother. It must have three characters like sacrificing, suffering, and being silent. The example can be Mother India. In Midnight Children, we are getting one scene where the mother is going outside to meet his her old friend, and the son or a child sees that his mother is going outside to meet another man, and he is behaving very violently towards the man. So the mother is leaving the role of ideal mother, and now she is not as an ideal mother in the eyes of a son. In Secret Superstar, we are having a mother and a child, a Muslim family. A mother is devoid, is not allowed to have any social life, and is having a domestic violence. Then too, he is not ready. She is not ready to leave her husband, and is wants to live there for the welfare of the children and welfare for the her. This is how the ideal women are in defined in our Bollywood movies. Then ideal wife. The ideal wife is one like Sita. Sita is a role model as an ideal wife. She should be virgin before marriage, loyal and obedient to the husband, and a perfect figures and martyrs to their families. Their grievance, desires, ambitions, feelings, and perspectives are completely missing in their scene. This is how the ideal women are, ideal wife are. Once she gets married, she has to leave everything, and this thing is seen in the Bollywood movies in Secret Superstar. Then in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, we see the wife of Amitabh Bachchan, that Nandini Raichan, played by Jaya Bachchan. She wants, she had to leave, had to follow, to be an ideal wife. She had to leave her son and him go. And in the movie Atras, that is a Kareena Kapoor is having that scene in Adalat, in a courtroom, where she is defending her husband being an ideal wife. Another is Vamp. Vamp is generally a negative role. She is an anti-heroine, the third person in the married couple, uh, who comes to destroy the marriage. And in Atra's movie, Priyanka Chopra is playing that role. And generally, this is seen in the daily soaps of Ekta Kapoor. And Vamp has a role of taking a revenge for her love not being accepted by a man, and a courtesan and prostitute. This character generally in the movies or in any cinematic thing are having a sympathetic look, because it's also a occupation. The George Booth, in the article Making a Woman from Tawaif, is saying that a world can turn a woman into courtesan, but courtesan cannot become a woman. The movies are like Gangubai, and the role of Madhuri Dixit in Devdas. In Gangubai, there is also a dialogue by Alia Bhatt, that कोठे वाली आपके घर की बहू नहीं बन सकती. This happens about with the prostitute, and this is also reflected in our cinema. The vamp and prostitute are the negative characters which are seen for women. Then comes a new genre which came recently, is of NRI films, and this has helped to shift the orthodoxy which are seen in these four characters. Here now in this film, a female character or a woman character is trying to trying to marry, or in a wish to marry a white man, because they are getting more liberty and being in relationship with a white man. This is seen in the movie The Namesake, where the Gogol is getting married to Moshumi, and then Moshumi is leaving Gogol, and the reason she is giving is she is happier when she is with non-Indian, because Indian accepts a lot of things being an idle woman. And the character of Pooja in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, we see that, which is more famous or popular as Pooh, after going to a foreign country, she is completely changing, because she is getting a new atmosphere, open as atmosphere and liberation. Now in the conclusion, I would like to say that as we saw that how women is constructed by Simone de Beauvoir, and then Spivak is talking about how the women are being subaltern and they are not having their own voice, which is completely reflected in Bollywood. The main role of Bollywood or movies is to bring out is to give a new insight to the society, so that they can change their own behavior. But here Bollywood is also failing in the recent time, like in 1960s and 1970s, to give a new look to the brown women, and they are and they are still a subaltern in a movies also. But today we see that slow and steadily the things are changing. The progressive moving movies like Thappad, Pink, and Dil Dhadakne Do are coming. Thappad is about domestic violence, but there a woman is standing for herself for only a one slap. Pink is a movie of whole courtroom where all the justifications are given, that why women should only, or why women or girls should only have the cage of having some idealism in them. And the most famous dialogue which I like from the Dil Dhadakne Do is between the two characters, where one hero is telling that मेरे डैड की जनरेशन तक किसी औरत ने काम नहीं किया, never. फिर मैंने आयशा को अलाउ किया बिजनेस चलाने के लिए. And here they were having a talk about the fake journalism. The man who said this dialogue was pointing out the other journalists that you now and then keep on talking about feminism. And then he said this dialogue as the proof that see, we are feminists. And then the journalist is saying, तुमने आयशा को अलाउ किया और उसे तुम्हारी परमिशन की जरूरत क्यों है. And this way, now the Bollywood movies are trying to bring the new ideas which were talked or discussed by Simone the Beauvoir and Gayatri Spivak, that how women are being subaltern and how they are oppressed. As we begin with the discuss of post-colonial feminism, this theory of post-colonial feminism is oftenly criticized by saying that it is breaking down the women into smaller groups to address a unique qualities and diversities. That's all about my presentations. These are my citations. Thank you.
Then my question is, according to you, what is the main problem with a Gayatri Spivak view of the subaltern?
As we discussed that Gayatri Spivak is belonging to the third world countries which were being colonized, and perhaps we can. It is my interpretation that the problem can be seen in a way that she might be thinking or writing based on the one-dimensional view that is of third world view.
Jill, my question is, what is your opinion towards the term boycott Bollywood?
Looking today, we are seeing a lot of things about boycotting the movies. I My opinion is every movie is coming as a form of entertainment and is showing the variety of view. They are not telling that they also give a certificate at the beginning that this is not to harm anyone's emotions or anyone's sentiment. Then boycotting Bollywood, I think it's not a great thing because they are also working hard and they are making these movies for the entertainment purpose, and crores of rupees are also made. It might We can consider it as a problem with the public that we are considering it to be a historical, and can be also say that we are thinking it is truth and movies should show everything that is truth. The mere purpose of Bollywood or movies is not to show the truth or to give or didactic. It's not having a quality of being didactic. It has mere entertainment as a purpose, and we are learning or reading movies is our way of learning. We are reading movies. Movies are not made to read movies or to learn something from it. Thank you.